How to overcome shyness. How to overcome shyness. Most people with substance use disorders know about shame. This may be a major feature of their emotional life. If you struggle with drug use, you probably feel shame on some level. There may be shame due to physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, either as a child or as an adult. Research continues to show that abuse, trauma, and PTSD are very common in people with substance use disorders. Many people feel embarrassed by the situation, even though they are not to blame. Substance use disorders can also cause feelings of shame about oneself. Addiction can override your moral judgment to the point where you are willing to manipulate or deceive those you love to get what you want. You may act impulsively and recklessly when drunk or high, causing harm to yourself and others. You may feel embarrassed because of the stigma of drug use, and you may feel embarrassed about having to ask for help. Shame is common and also one of the most corrosive emotions. Like any hidden wound, it will only get worse with time. Here are some suggestions for overcoming and healing shyness. Acknowledge shame. The first step in overcoming shame is to admit how you feel. It's not always clear that what you're feeling is shame. Sometimes you experience it as anger, irritability, defensiveness, procrastination, or depression. It may take some introspection to realize that shame is behind persistently challenging emotions. You can explore these emotions by asking why. Why do you get angry when your loved one suggests you talk to a therapist? Why do you get defensive when certain topics are brought up? Shame likes to be hidden. There is a good reason why people often say, after telling an embarrassing story, "I want to crawl into a hole." You want to protect yourself from people who ridicule you. Unfortunately, when you feel embarrassed, you are the one ridiculing yourself, so that shame appears in various forms. Observe shame without judgment. When you are able to identify shame, try observing it without judgment. This can be very difficult because no one likes the taste. Your natural reflex is to reject it or think of something else. However, that only makes the feeling stronger because you continue to feel afraid. Instead, let yourself feel it. Where do you feel it in your body? Does it feel like fear? Disgusting? What thoughts are associated with it? Make sure you don't embarrass yourself by criticizing yourself. Just experience it as it is. Is it shame or guilt? It is also important to differentiate shame from guilt. Guilt is a useful emotion. It is our conscience that tells us that we have failed ourselves in some way. Feelings of guilt encourage us to correct mistakes and improve our behavior. The important difference is that guilt applies to our actions, and shame applies to our inherent values. When you make a mistake, perhaps you have made a rude comment to a friend. Guilt says, "That was done badly. I should apologize and be more careful in the future." But shame says, "I'm a bad person, and I always hurt other people." Ironically, shame actually makes you less able to improve your behavior. This implies that you are permanently bad rather than asserting that you are capable of improvement. If there is something that makes you feel ashamed, something that you may have done because of an addiction, try moving it to the guilt category. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm a bad person for stealing my parents' money," change it to, "Stealing from my parents was wrong, and I'm determined not to do something like that again." Is it something else? Shame also has other functions. For example, openly showing shame can signal regret to those around you. If you blame yourself, they will be less likely to let you off the hook. In this case, shame serves a social function, maintaining your relationship with the community after you have done something bad. Of course, after a certain point, this no longer helps. Shyness can also be a way to keep yourself trapped. You may feel like you don't deserve to be happy because you are so rotten. Conveniently, it also saves you the effort of trying to make positive changes in your life. After all, you won't fail if you don't try. The thought of failure or any change may be so frightening that even living with shame seems better. Develop compassion for yourself. To overcome shyness, start by developing self-compassion. We are often harder on ourselves than we are on others. In fact, if we treated others the way we treat ourselves, we would probably be ostracized or locked out. When you have identified the source of the embarrassment, take a step back and try to treat yourself as you would a friend. Imagine a friend telling you that they are ashamed of whatever you did or whatever happened to you. Imagine reacting with compassion, knowing that even though your friend is imperfect, they deserve to be happy. Try extending the same feelings to yourself. Try opening. Lastly, try to be open about embarrassment. This is what truly allows you to heal. As mentioned above, shame wants to be hidden, but that only makes things worse. If you don't feel like you can open up to someone you trust and care about, consider opening up in therapy. Your therapist has probably heard everything and anything you say is confidential under the law. Often, saying it out loud to someone is helpful, but your therapist can also help you work through your feelings. Group therapy is also a great place to open up because you will likely find that some of the other group members have had similar experiences, and you will no longer feel alone. If you're not ready to talk to anyone about your feelings of shame, try writing about them. Acknowledging it and exploring it in detail will probably make you feel better and may prepare you to discuss it with a therapist. Shame is a destructive emotion because it convinces us that we are bad, that we are weak, that we are unlovable, and that we do not deserve anything good in life. The good news is that shame cannot be ignored. The more you are able to acknowledge and share feelings of shame in appropriate situations, the less it will control your life.